Here he comes. It's Micky Dolenz.
Hi, thanks very much for coming. Everybody having a good show? A good con?
So,
it's always funny how they call it a con. It's like, are they conning you?
well, it's possible. It's definitely retro because it's all the toys that we threw out that we're now very upset about throwing out.
Yeah.
You know, I asked Micky about, well, he told me a story about the drum set when we were talking about retro toys. That you used to have the drum set from the movies.
Yeah, it's a horrible story. The original Gold Gretsch drum kit that I had on the TV show, had it at my house, my home. Then I sold the house and moved. And I thought, what am I going to do with this old drum kit? And I left it in a closet. Behind a wall in a closet. That original Gold Gretsch drum kit. I've never forgiven myself for that.
Well, I know that you guys came from a far away. A lot of our friends flew here from all over the country. So I'm sure you have some questions and do not want to hear anything else that I have to say. So ask everything and anything that you can.
Raise your hand and I will bring around the microphone for you. So let's see those hands. Who's got questions? Ooh, right in the front row. Makes it easy.
Hi, I've composed myself since meeting you earlier. I wanted to know if you could tell people what you want your legacy to be when they look back at your music and your life. What type of words or adjectives do you want people to describe you?
I don't know. It's a good question. Usually it's just idiot and dumbass. I don't know. I guess just you know, I'm a comic comedian, so I guess making people laugh, making people feel good and have fun. You know, it's been mainly the kind of jobs I've mostly had have been that kind of thing. So I guess that as an entertainer, that would be it. Making people feel good.
I guess that applies to a lot of you, right? Yeah, we saw a lot of emotional people today. I cry every day when we're together. You have a question right here.
Hello. Do you have a favorite episode from the show? What's your favorite episode?
I don't remember them as episodes because we did them continuously. I remember sort of one big episode, a 2-year episode. I remember the people, different people. I had favorite people I worked with, like Rosemary, a great actress, Stan Freberg, Hans Conried. Yeah, so I remember more the people, and the people in the cast, and the people in the crew. You know, I tend to remember the people.
Now, there was one guest that you were excited to meet. The gentleman that was a guest, that was an actor on the show, that you were excited to meet, who was not as excited about being there. Was that Hans?
Well, that was Hans Conried, yeah.
Can you tell that story?
Oh, yeah, Hans Conried. I don't know anybody recognize that name. A great character actor from the 30s, 40s, into the 50s and 60s. Wonderful character actor. And I was a huge fan. And he was cast on the show in one of the episodes. And he's very traditional, old school, Hollywood, you know, great character actor. And of course, we were new, young generation, but also had been encouraged to improvise a lot on the TV show. We even trained to improvise. We had, coaching to do improv because they wanted that kind of spontaneous sort of thing, which was great for us. And some of the actors, like Rosemarie. She was okay, and but sometimes we would get a bit out of hand, especially if there were other people on the set. And some of the more traditional old school actors didn't know how to handle it, because usually you never improvise on a TV or a movie in those days. You learned your lines, you came in, did your lines, you went home. But we were just sometimes bouncing off the walls. And one day in that episode, Hans Conried was on the set and trying to do his lines, like in the script. And we were just, I'm not kidding, just like bouncing off the walls and messing up the takes and screwing and improvising and all kinds of stuff. And finally he just said, "God, I hate these fucking kids." I felt so bad about that because I was such a huge fan.
These are the kinds of stories that I'm going to pull out for you that I know that make me laugh as a fan. You have a question right there.
My daughter wants to know what the favorite Monkees album was, and I'd like to know what it was like when you were momentarily more popular than the Beatles and they threw a party for you.
He wants to know about the party that the Beatles threw for you, and his daughter wants to know your favorite album.
My favorite, well, I can't say I have a favorite album, because they're all quite different, done at different times, in different configurations. One of the albums that I had the most enjoyment recording would have been Headquarters, because that was the album that we, because as you all know, we weren't allowed to play on a lot of the early stuff. We literally were not allowed. Peter Tork told the story of showing up at one of the early recording sessions with his bass guitar, and they said, "What are you doing here?" So we weren't allowed to play early on. But finally, as you all probably know, we kind of had a palace revolt, and we got the right to go in the studio and record an album, and that was Headquarters, and just the four of us recording. So that was a special, I would say. But all the albums were pretty good, and I love the music, the songs, great writers. I was singing songs written by some of the greatest writers ever, and so I love all the albums, and then the other question was the party the Beatles threw for us. I'm told I had a great time. That's all I can tell you.
Anybody have other questions?
Oh, yes. Hi. Oh, my gosh, this is loud. Hi, I just want to say you're such a gentleman before. Thank you so much. What would you... I'm so nervous. What kind of advice would you give to, younger, aspiring musicians?
Advice I would give to young entertainers, musicians: get a good lawyer. No, besides that, just stick with it, practice. You got to really love it. It's a very tough business. If you're thinking of it as a business, it's a very tough business. And don't forget, there's two words in show business: show and business. And you got to kind of be pretty good at both.
I have a two-part question. First of all, do you yourself have a favorite classic TV show? And secondly, we saw the movie Head at the Mahoning Valley Drive-In. Could you comment on that?
The first one was, do you have a favorite TV show? And the other was your thoughts on the movie Head. Thoughts on the movie Head.
You mean a favorite show like when I was a kid? Well, I guess when I was a real little kid, it would have been Superman, and then after that, been Twilight Zone. I suppose Twilight Zone probably right at the top of the list, and then I guess later on Star Trek, something like that.
Wait, you were a Trekkie?
Well, I didn't wear like green makeup and weird outfits, but no, I was Star Trek. Yeah, I watched them, all those. Trying to think of anything else. Thunderbolt the Wonder Colt when I was a real little kid. Howdy Doody.
Howdy Doody. Well, what do you watch now?
Now currently I go around, huge Breaking Bad fan and Better Call Saul. Let me think. Equalizer, the movies, and you think. Right now I'm watching. We like Dexter. Yeah, a lot. We liked Outlander, but it's been so long I can't remember what it's about. and right now Reacher. I'm watching Reacher. Things like that. I like those kind of, action, thriller, adventure things. John Wick. That kind of stuff.
And the other was about Head.
Oh, you saw it the other night?
Yeah, he saw it at the drive-in.
You saw it, yeah. Can you tell me what it's about? I have no idea. Well, actually, I think I do. Over the years, at the time, I had absolutely no clue. I don't think anybody did, including Jack, and he wrote it.
Jack Nicholson, in case anybody is not familiar.
Jack Nicholson wrote the movie before he was kind of Jack Nicholson. Well, I kind of think I do know. If you think about who the movie was made by, Bob Rafelson, Bert Schneider. Bob Rafelson went on to do 5 Easy Pieces.
Easy Rider.
And they started, and Bert and Bob, the producers of the Monkees, went on to make Easy Rider and with Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper, and then Jack Nicholson movies. These were the new young bucks of Hollywood at the time. And there was no independent film industry in Hollywood before these guys. And others like Martin Scorsese. And if you didn't have a deal with a major studio, 7 major studios, you could not get a film hardly made or distributed. It was impossible, essentially. And these guys kind of broke that mold. And they did it on television with the Monkees, though people don't always recognize that. But the Monkees was quite, what's the word? It was revolutionary in terms of television. Like, for instance, having people improvise and having young kids on television, because the only time you saw young, long-haired kids on television before the Monkees, they were being arrested. So, so it made it okay to have long hair. And as Cyndi Lauper once said to me about the Monkees, she said it made it okay to be different at that time. And so the movie Head also was pretty different, and it broke the mold in many ways of movies, any movies at the time. And there's one scene you may remember where Mike and I are in cavalry outfits, in Western, cavalry uniforms, cowboys and Indians, and there's a covered wagon, and Terry Garr. It was our first part in the movie, was there wounded, and we're fighting off the Indians with arrows and gun, And I stand up and I get hit in the chest with a bunch of fake arrows, in a fake chest plate thing. And I say, Bob, that's the director, I'm fed up. And, I break the fourth wall and I go, I'm fed up. I don't want to do this anymore. Fake arrows, fake Indians. What are you doing? You're pretending you're dying. And I'm done. I'm fed up. And I turn around and I walk through the backdrop of the set, which is a Western, big Western painting of a sky and stuff. And I burst through it and walk out. That, I think, is metaphorically what the movie was about. It was breaking out of old Hollywood and breaking through.
Wow.
That was great. Who else has a question? Don't be shy. Oh, I see one over here. Ooh, everyone's raising their hand. I'm going to do this, this, and then this.
Hi, Mickey. Were you guys able to take or save any props from the show? And do you have any?
I would have been allowed. I just didn't, like an idiot. Well, I told you, I left my classic drum set in a closet. I didn't keep anything. I did keep the scripts. I have all the original scripts.
Wow.
Including the pilot, which was spelled Monkeys. Well, the pilot script that I went for the audition for, but it wasn't my name. I think in the script, my character's name was Bingo or something, or Bobby or something, I don't remember. It wasn't my name, obviously, because it was the script that you went in and auditioned with. But no, I didn't keep anything. I probably left all the button-down shirts, with the red shirts, and yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. So when you actually, was there a conversation when they decided that they were going to use your real names? Was it up to you? Was it a back and forth debate? How did that happen?
I don't remember. I know that, like I say, the original script was not our names, but when we shot the pilot, we did use our names. And I don't remember how that happened. I don't remember it being an issue. I don't remember discussing it.
So
it would have
you
been
do
the
it now?
producers. It would have been the producers, creators, and it would have been the television company, Screen Gems, headed up by Jackie Cooper. It would have been NBC, maybe. Well, no, it wouldn't have been NBC at that time because they hadn't sold it, so it would have been before that. So it would have been the producers. And
It seems as though we were actually having this conversation last night. There really hasn't been many shows, if almost any, that actually use the people's real names. It seems as though, unless like maybe Tim Allen, a couple of the comedians, but it doesn't seem like they've really ever done that again.
No, not to my knowledge. No. And I don't know, would it have made a difference, you think, to you, to anybody, if instead of my name being Micky Dolenz on the show, it would have been Bingo Roberts?
I'm going to have you sign autographs now, Bingo Roberts.
I asked my wife that once because she was a fan and she watched the show. And I said, would it have made a difference to you? She said, no, you were just cute.
Aww, that's cute.
What did you think of Jimi Hendrix at the time when he opened for you guys?
Well, I'm the one that it was sort of my idea. I had seen him in New York as a sideman for John Hammond, I think, a band. and he was known as Jimmy James. But I didn't meet him at that time, but I was told, you got to go down to the village and see this kid play guitar with his teeth. That's what he was known as, I guess, the kid that plays guitar with his teeth. And he was sideman for, I think it was John Hammond. And sure enough, I went down there with Mike and just watched, and it was, obviously very impressive. And then months later, I guess, I don't know, I was at Monterey Pop Festival, and all of a sudden the Experience walks on, and I look up and I go, my God, that's the guy that plays guitar with his teeth. And of course, he'd gone to England, and Chaz Chandler, a manager, put together the Experience with Mitch and Noel. And they were at Monterey, not well known at all yet. And I suggested to the producers, because we were looking for an opening act, and I thought, well, they're very theatrical, which they were, and we're a theatrical act, and so everybody must have thought it was a good idea. So he opened for, I think, 6 or 8 shows, something like that, and it was great. We would sit in the wings and just be in awe. It was Awe, Illinois, just outside of Awe. We were in awe, just Mike and I were like, just, especially we'd sit in the wings and just, but it was kind of embarrassing, because he'd be going, Foxy Lady, we want Davy,
How many of you have seen Mickey's solo show? Now, he's coming back in this area October 7th in Hanover, PA. And I hope all of you will come out, because you're actually working on a couple new surprises. I know you're not going to tell us, because you won't tell me. But how...
Not surprises, just evolution, evolving, different songs. Yeah, it's not big surprises or anything.
Well, are you going to tell everybody the songs that you're doing?
What?
Are you telling everyone the songs?
Well, no, because I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet.
It's a surprise right now, correct? Right?
Okay, it's a surprise.
It's a surprise.
Going to do the entire Wall album. And then Stairway to Heaven as a reggae. And...
I'm surprised. We have a question here.
Aside from your career with the Monkees, what are you most proud of? What accomplishments are you most proud of having done?
What are you most proud of?
My children. I had to say that. I would, lots of things. It depends what, I don't know what field you're talking about, in acting or music or directing or writing, or that it would depend. Like, for instance, I'm quite proud of the work I did in England as a director, television and film director, for instance. Acting-wise, the Monkees, I would say, as an actor and a singer, obviously. But other singing projects on Broadway, the musicals that I did, Aida, on Broadway. Quite proud of Hairspray that I did in London, in the West End. So it would depend like that.
Is there a musical that you saw that you ever said, man, I wish I could be, I would love to do
bunch.
that?
I always wanted The Wiz, The Wiz. I know what's it called?
Yeah.
Wicked. Sorry, Wicked. Yeah, I always wanted to be Dorothy. They offered me the Wizard, actually, and I couldn't do it. But lots of shows that I'm too old now, but I would have loved to been the Music Man. Done Music Man.
That would have been perfect, right? Wow, that's crazy. Now, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a break in a minute, but while I have you right here, I want to introduce, I don't know if you guys ever put together that the guy who played Eddie Munster was also on the Christmas episode of the Monkees. Did you all know that? That little brat? Well, he's a little taller now. Everybody welcome Butch Patrick. Has everyone seen that episode, the Christmas episode? Yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? So before I let Mickey go take a break and then I pick Butch's brain, which I love to do, right before we're leaving, right after this, we have one last photo opportunity with both Butch and Mickey. If you would like to do it, it's a once in a lifetime. We've never done this before. Or the Monkey Mobile, and then Butch with the Munster coach, right? No, the Dragula. So I'm going to let Mickey go, and please come out and see us. Can you give this guy a round of applause?
Hi, this is Gary Chalk, Optimus Prime. Please stay tuned to Fandom Spotlight. You can watch it online at any time.